Hi, everybody. Patrick Brown from Northland Fractional here, doing a little bit more informal outdoor video shoot today. And these are 3 key indicators that you might be more overwhelmed running your business than you think you are. So let's talk about overwhelm for a second. And this is something where it's very easy for us as business owners to convince ourselves that we're in a better place than we are. After all, when you start a business, you're facing a lot of adversity. You're facing a bit of an uphill battle. There's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of things to adapt to. There's constant challenges coming your way every single day. And so when we start to have success with that, obviously we become very confident in what we can deal with. But that also becomes a bit of a trap as well, because sometimes we can't deal with it, or maybe a better way of putting it is we don't need to. And so it's important that we kind of look for certain signs of consistent overwhelm that should be an indicator to us that we need to take some sort of action, whatever that might be. It could mean simply delegating. It could mean simply saying no to more things. It could mean bringing help on board, whether it's an internal hire, a third-party consultant, a contractor, whatever it may be. But oftentimes what happens is we wait till the point where we're so completely overwhelmed all the time that there's just absolute desperation, and we feel like we're just drowning in the things that need to happen. And so there are signs that you can start to look for, or that you can kind of use as an assessment tool to sort of give you a clue as to maybe you're a little bit further down that path than you like to admit that you are. So let's talk about some of those reasons right now. One key indicator that should tell you that you're maybe a little bit more overwhelmed or need some assistance more than you think you do is if you are constantly telling yourself, I'll be okay as soon as I get through whatever it might be. But you then look back and notice that you've been saying that to yourself for the last 3, 6, 12 months. And every time you get over the thing that you say you'll be okay once you get over, you're not okay because there's the next thing to get over. And so that's an indicator of you're just telling yourself something that you want to hear, or you're not understanding that there's always going to be another something. There's always going to be another project, another obstacle, another issue that pops up. And that situation is never going to change. So if you're starting to realize that you've been telling yourself that for longer than a few months, it's probably time to get some help. A second key indicator that you might want to look to change your circumstances in your situation, whether it be due to overwhelm, stress, or whatever it might be, is work's not fun anymore, or it's not motivating anymore. So oftentimes you start a business and it's exciting and it's fun to do. And as you make progress, you feel good about it, and it's not always about making money that you feel good about. It's just getting through things and figuring things out and solving problems. And if you've got a team, it's getting that team working in a better way and getting them on board, or whatever it might be. All those little wins that pile up through the day that keep you motivated and keep you excited to get back at it the next day. Well, if you're not feeling that, if you're not even noticing the small wins, you're not noticing the progressions, you're not noticing the positives that are coming out of the day because you're too busy focused on what's not gotten done, what's still to come, what's not going right. And as a result, you're feeling like you don't want to get up and go to work in the morning. You don't want to get back at it. You don't want to put any more time in. That's an indicator. And you may not necessarily feel it or articulate it in those specific words, but even just that, what's your gut reaction when it comes time to start your workday? I'm very fortunate, even on times when things are challenging or not going quite the way they want to. I'm I get up and I'm eager to get going and get back into it and figure things out. And if you're not feeling that, if you notice you've consistently not been feeling that, because I mean, sure, maybe once in a while you don't feel so hot. You're dealing with a particular problem, and that makes it a little bit more difficult to get the day started on for a day or for a couple of days or maybe even a couple of weeks. But if you've been consistently feeling that way for months and it just feels like it's a drag and this is your baby, then that's probably an indication that something needs to change, right? Everything about not just our business, but our lives is about what we put out versus what we get back, right? What feeds us, right? And some of what we need to be fed is through our work, those small wins, those big wins, the obstacles that we overcome and things like that. But we also need to be fed in other ways. And that could be time with family, that could be time alone, whatever it might be. And if the balance is shifted or if things have happened in such a way that you just don't feel motivated and driven and inspired to do what you're doing, that's an indicator, right? Because if you're not feeling motivated and inspired, how is anybody who works with you or for you or how's anybody else going to get on board with what you're trying to do if you don't feel that drive and that passion about it? The third key indicator as to whether your business might be getting the best of you or you're too overwhelmed or whatever it might be, uh, these indicators show up away from work, where maybe it's with your family, if you have one, or it's with your friends, or if it's just in your day-to-day interactions. And it's how well you show up in those instances, or how positively do you show up in those instances. I know personally, I remember going through a period of my life where things were not going well, for a variety of reasons, and there was more stress weighing on me than I probably admitted there was. And looking back now, that manifested in different ways for me, in things like more road rage. I actually got into it with another driver one time, and I look back on that now, and it's like that's not who I am, or I don't think that's who I am. It's not who I want to be, and things like that are just out of character responses. Or if you've got a family, so I have my two young kids, I know that if I'm short on sleep or if things are a little bit stressful, that's going to affect my level of patience and my ability to deal with all the things that a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old bring to the table. How well I'm able to deal with that and how well I'm able to respond to that. And that's just, on the day to day. And when things build up for weeks and for months, that can really start to show up in your different relationships, whether it's withdrawing or being negative or taking things out on people when they don't deserve it or avoiding situations. It could result in just what you do with your time. Are you spending your time fruitfully? Like are you connecting with people and doing things and taking care of yourself, or do you find you're just kind of stuck in a rut, maybe just watching TV a lot or doing other things? Certain addictive behaviors might start to manifest a little bit more than they do under normal circumstances. So those are other indicators that you want to be aware of that don't show up in your working life. In fact, in your working life, you might be fine. You might be the type of person that can put on that mask and show up like everything's great. And it's everybody outside of you, the people that are closer to you, that bear the brunt of what's affecting you. So if you find that your presence in those relationships and in those circumstances are being affected, that's probably also an indicator that you might want to take a look at the situation with your business and decide to make some changes. It's important to realize that sometimes slow transitions in our mood or our stress levels don't necessarily get noticed by us. Um, I had a particularly vivid memory for me that I think will stand with me for the remainder of my life. I was going through some personal challenges, and I had made a decision to end my first marriage, and I had just moved out of the house, and all those ideas and thoughts were swirling around in my head. Is this the right decision? Can I believe that I'm actually doing this? Like, what kind of person am I, etc.? All the things that go through one's head when you make a major life choice like that. And yet, in that same week, without telling anybody what was going on, because I wasn't telling anybody what was going on, I had two people very, very close to me who I interacted with in that first week, both of whom commented spontaneously that it was kind of like, "Hey, what's going on with you?" And my first reaction was, okay, this could be awkward. I don't really want to have to explain what's going on. And it's like, I don't know why. And the response was, "You just seem lighter. You seem happier." And that floored me. I didn't even realize that change. Not only did I not realize the change after the decision, but I hadn't realized how much things must have been weighing on me for so long that I was just coasting along thinking that everything was fine, and then the decision is made and things change. The point is it's very easy to consistently tell ourselves everything's normal and everything's okay when it's a very slow incremental shift from truly being okay to being in a bad spot. And being a business owner is lonely enough at the best of times. And so when you're struggling and when you're having difficulties, or when you are overwhelmed consistently, and it starts to affect your sleep, it starts to affect your health, it starts to affect your relationships, but we don't necessarily notice it right away because it's not that stark, quick change from one day to the next. And so we need to step out of ourselves every now and again and just check in. Is everything kind of going the way it should be going? And I've said this in other videos, is maybe that means checking in with people around us as well. And having a couple of those people in your life that you not only can trust to give you honest opinions and feedback, but you'll actually listen to it. Because that's not going to be fun to hear, but it's in our best interest to be able to take that advice. So, anyways, there's three indicators that you might be too overwhelmed, too overstressed, and that you should probably look at changing your circumstances on how you run your business, however that might be. And I hope that's helpful. Sometimes it might just be coming out and enjoying the sunshine on a day like this. So thanks for watching. My name is Patrick Brown. I'm the CEO of Northland Fractional. I help business owners who are having success making money but are struggling with overwhelm, overstress, and I help come up with solutions to help you save time, save money, and save anxiety. Because after all, if you have the wherewithal to run a business and you have the knowledge and the skills and the ability to make that business successful, then you have every right to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Whether that means having more time for yourself and your family, or if it means being able to just work that much harder and grind that much harder your business, if that's your thing, that's totally cool. I love talking to business owners and who are struggling and seeing if I can help. So feel free to reach out, comment on this video, subscribe to this channel, and in the link you can click on the link in the description to book a free consultation or a free coaching call with me to talk about what you're going through. Thanks so much. See you soon.